All right, Ryan, looks like we're live for hangout number. I have no idea because I don't pay attention. Joey's gonna be mad. It's we're in the 20s somewhere. 20. I think you know what? The hangout might be old enough to drink. We might be at hangout number 21 tonight.
33.
No way, are we really? That
Yeah.
shows what I know. I was looking at our YouTube earlier and the one that popped up on my feed must have been hangout number 20 then, the one that was just recommended. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Yeah,
All
we're
right.
gonna have lots of fanatics hate tonight, right?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, so the proposed, just so people can get a little behind the scenes, we don't do much planning for this. We really try to be it, have it be a hang up, but we always have some topics that we throw around, and we solicit some feedback from listeners. And so I'd put out there a topic of sports hate, and really more about the love of collecting through, like for me, I won't go into it now, but I brought a Lakers card, right? I can't stand the Lakers. The purple and gold make my blood boil, but there's a few Lakers cards on my PC because I respect them. I respect the rivalry. So I put out there a topic of sports hate and collecting through that sports hate. How do we find some cards or sets that maybe elicit those memories? But then Topps had their annual conference or whatever it was, and Joey's not here to tell us that Topps is great. We've got Ryan here with us tonight instead. So I know, Ryan, you've been going through. Let's just skip the pleasantries, skip to the pickups, and let's just kind of jump into. I know you've got some stuff to share about what you've been seeing from Topps Fanatics over the last week while they've had this conference, and go for it. I have not seen any of it. I honestly I don't follow Topps on social media, so I'm pretty naive to this.
Yeah, it's kind of secondhand that I've seen it. And I think we were joking about this with Joey out. We were gonna just dive into all the fanatics hate, which we're not. I mean, we'll briefly mention it, but I did want to stick to topic. But seeing some of the posts from the fanatics, or I guess Topps Industry Summit, who obviously is owned by Fanatics. The thing that stood out to me was, let's see if we can bring it on stage here, the credit card. So let's see if I can zoom in on this thing a little bit. But yeah, this is just wild to me. So essentially what they're going to be doing here, it looks like, is they're going to have this. I think it's built upon like the Fanatics sports book thing initially, right? And I think they introduced it already that it was coming out, but now they've tied Topps into it a little bit. So you can see there, you're going to earn 50% more fan cash buying like products. You can get front and line access for Topps drops, other things in there. I think there's something funny in there too. I don't know if you can see this, Steve, but it said, what does this say here? Spend $1,000 a month on your credit card for 12 consecutive months and get a free jersey. And my guess is this going to be those garbage, $80 Fanatics jerseys that probably cost $5 to produce. So you're going to spend $10,000 to get a $80 jersey.
And what they'll send you is one of the jerseys that gets returned because it was like see-through, or the numbers were printed, crooked across the side of the jersey or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We could go on forever about this, but I kind of saw it and thought it was appropriate to bring up because I always recommend that people do not put collectibles on credit cards. And if you do, pay them off quickly because it's real easy to get into a slippery slope on that stuff. I've done it before, and I made it a goal the last couple of years to like get out of debt in general, but especially like not put collectibles and things on the card because that stuff adds up, and especially nowadays people are spending $1,000 on a box. It's easy just to go snap your fingers and you're $5,000 in debt. On a credit card that's probably going to have a pretty high APR is my guess.
That's what I was just going to say. It's probably 30%, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of these, they try to suck you in with no APR, low APR for like a year, and then they just bump up. But this kind of screams to me like the kind of cards that they give to people with low credit scores and then just jack it up. A year in, they're at 30% and just drowning in debt. So I don't know. That's my recommendation. Oh, you even see my comment on there on that Cherry Collectibles post that I'm sharing. 10x in your credit card debt. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to quickly bring that up. I don't, for the person that maybe is better with credit cards than some people, maybe this is an okay deal. I don't know. I don't want to hate on it completely, but it just seems crazy to me. So figured it'd be a fun thing to start with.
Yeah, I mean, it's also it's for me. It's so again, I didn't see any of this like live. The heading, the credit card every collector needs is as cringy as it gets. But talk about the wrong message to come out of an industry summit, right? So this is supposed to be a time where they're talking about the products, the release schedules, upcoming events they have. And the stuff that we saw was either, display case stuff, like they had a scan your blaster so you can get like the pack odds, or the main thing is a credit card. So the thing that is coming to the top of mind when we're thinking about the industry summit from Top's perspective right now is that they're pushing a credit card on us. I have not heard anything else about new product wave or new licenses that they might have collected or they might have gathered up. It's everybody's talking about the credit card, and I think that's just a really sad insight into kind of the state of the industry right now, that this is kind of what's getting attention, and it's getting attention because people think it's absurd. But it's also that they were even using the industry summit to promote a credit card. It's just a sad state of affairs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just to highlight some other stuff real quick, so it's not all doom and gloom. Neo Cards and Comics, he had some stuff here that he went through a couple. I think he was there like taking photos and then posting to Instagram. Let's see if I can find that one about basketball. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it was I think there's going to be Chrome update coming out. Did you hear that, Steve? I think that's
I think maybe Wax Museum Kyle had something about that, where they're going to do, which is what they do in baseball, right? So it's essentially a series 2, is my understanding. It's an extended checklist or something, but that made sense to me because they do Topps flagship and Topps update in baseball, so to do something similar in basketball made sense.
Yeah, this isn't the one I wanted. This is about Bowman, but yeah, I think they're going to put those debut patches into Chrome update, I heard today. So for those of you that want a completely manufactured stuck-on sticker patch, that's probably going to go for hundreds of thousands for like guys like Flag. But hey, some people might be into that. So anyway, yeah, I figured that'd be something interesting to start with before we kick it off into our other topic. But I will cease the Fanatics hate, and Joey can breathe a sigh of relief as he listens to this later.
And just a little, we got Sean in the chat with us tonight, and he's sharing that he works in consumer finance, and he does believe that this is a marketing approach that will work well for Fanatics, that people will actually be excited about it. Which, again, to each their own. It's not. I'm not one to usually go for the credit card perks, but it sounds like it'll probably be a strong marketing approach for them. So hopefully people use it safely and successfully and get their perks without just buying into $10,000 of wax.
Yeah, that's always the hope. Is we all got credit cards, and some people don't use them wisely, some people do. So hopefully people get into it. They do, but I don't know. It seems crazy to me. But yeah, Gary mentions here the credit card would definitely appeal to the folks that Fanatics is trying to bring into the hobby. I agree. Because we see, I don't know, not to get into this too deep, but we do see a lot of the collectibles market being more like an investment focus nowadays. So a lot of that is investing and going into a little bit of debt, and some people can make money off of it. Awesome for that, but most people are going to lose. So slippery slope. But
I think Fanatics is, we do have to remind ourselves that Fanatics is such a large company, and they have their, tentacles in so many different parts of the sports world. So if you're using it successfully, meaning you're not racking up debt and you're taking advantage of the perks, there is a chance that between shopping at stores, ordering online, safely gambling, appropriately with your rips and everything and your breaks and all that other stuff, and then whatever, I'm sure at some point they'll have, something to do with whether it be tickets or something, game events. So I think if you're using it and you do buy a lot of Fanatics branded apparel and cards, etc., there's probably some benefit to it. But again, my thing is the fact that it was so highly, one of the big takeaways was a credit card from an industry summit. And then We got Gary sort of agreeing. Gary Beal is here in the chat with us, also agreeing that. Oh, I think you just said that, but he agrees also with Sean that it's going to be popular. And then we have Jeff, what's up, Jeff? We got Coup Coach ITB here, talking about that he was looking forward to some retrofractors in Bowman, and so far the checklist seems to be pretty minimalistic. Only finding Shaq and Bill Russell cards to be listed so far. So
yeah,
that's disappointing.
Let's see. Let me reshare that here. So they do have, the new Bowman. A bunch of people flagged me in this specifically because they know I collect Garbage Pail Kids. And they do have Garbage Pail Kids, which I do think is kind of cool. They seem kind of toned down from regular Garbage Kids. I get it. But, some of the more gross, like Garbage Pail Kids are what I like personally. So these are more like kid friendly, which again is cool. Despite, not collecting tops, maybe I'll go back at some point and get those because they are kind of neat. I don't know if they mentioned this is about Bowman specifically, but what are your thoughts on Bowman? Did I miss out? Did you guys talk about that already on like one of the last episodes when I was out, or did we?
No, we didn't hit on Bowman. We kind of just hit on, you saw the slide deck where Joey just went over the overall approach that Topps has taken. We have not really jumped into any of the releases since we did flagship, several episodes ago.
Okay. Are these the ones that Jeff's talking about? These retrofractors?
I would assume so.
Oh, Shaq and Bill Russell. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of neat. It's always the hope that now that they have the license, they do something cool with it instead of just a bunch of, chase these big hits and then all the rest of the stuff is kind of boring and junk. But those do look kind of cool, so I got to give them credit.
And if you can go back to that image, if it's easy enough, Carter just MC Basketball PC is here with us as well, and does bring up that he's disappointed in the combination of collegiate and NBA licensing into one product.
Yeah.
I am waiting for Topps to hopefully do some multi-sport releases. I would like to see that. I think going back to the time where you could get, like a city, cards that mimic cities. So like, maybe a Red Sox, Patriots, and a Celtics star on one card and combining that stuff. I can see your frustration with combining collegiate and NBA though, Carter, because collegiate hits are significantly less valuable in a collegiate product, appeals to a very different collector versus an NBA card. So, and like, does anybody really want a 2026 Shaquille O'Neal LSU card? Right. And so I think
right.
If that were to be your hit, that's sort of a bummer there. So I can see your frustration there, Carter.
Very true, given probably the box prices and stuff like that, All right. Well, cool. I just figured we'd touch on it. This is Chrome WWE. Yeah, I don't see anything about the Chrome basketball, but I did see today, obviously they're putting those debut patches in there. I did have one pickup before we kind of go.
Yeah, right,
I haven't shared this one yet. We can, I know we're going to skip it, but I thought that was pretty cool. And this is the 98 Flair Showcase
Beautiful.
Legacy of McDice. I still got to crack it out. It's going on the binder for sure. That actually completes that team set for me now. So
no way. So all the rows?
Yeah, I should have brought the binder out. Actually, the binder might. Yeah, I don't have this sitting here. I got other ones, but it completes all the rows from that 98 season. So it's pretty excited.
Awesome.
These are cool too. It's not like a different. Like this almost looks like it's raised right here, like in the middle, and then the cards has like maybe an acetate behind it. It looks like that when you view it in person, but it's not. It's flat, but it kind of gives that impression. So it's really cool.
Yeah, the way they use the action photo of the player to be the divider between the two portraits is always something that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
So my pickup is not here because the one card that I was expecting to get in this week that I was excited about was a Prism out of 10 Jay Crowder Gold Ice card for my Crowder PC, but DC Sports 87 lost it. I don't know how a company where their only job is to consign cards, which means take them from someone, list them for sale, and then sell them to that person, can lose a card so easily. But I don't know how much you pay attention to eBay, but DC Sports 87 has been a very popular consignment company, I'd say, and a very trusted one. But they are definitely over their skis recently. Their images on I should show it card I didn't bring with me. The other card I got was an Alyssa Thomas out of 10 WNBA Prism parallel. That's really nice, but I forgot to bring it down with me. I was working and rushing down here. But DC Sports 87, I'm putting them on blast. Like, if you look at their listings now, they're not putting any effort into listing photos. They're just whatever the card is sent to, whether it be a crusty top loader or, a penny sleeve, they're just taking a picture of that. I've heard way too many stories of them losing cards. They absolutely put a very high end card that Carter bought through a shredder. I'm getting really frustrated. I think ComC's gone down the tubes. Now we have one of I'd say the top 2 or 3 consignment companies on eBay going down the tubes. We have Fanatics trying to sell through their own website. I'm getting very frustrated with trying to just follow through with transactions in this hobby. I think I'm going to be at a point where I'm going to be full old cranky guy and just keeping cash in a hole in my mattress and just bringing that out to shows or something. I don't know. It's getting really frustrating just trying to safely and consistently buy cards and get them shipped to you. It's a headache, and it shouldn't be.
To be honest, I haven't bought a whole ton of cards. You guys have seen me like show off comics and stuff because that's what I've been buying recently. And I do have like a DC Sports 87 story, and this is probably 2-3 years ago. So they were selling a bunch of fake autographics cards that were pointed out to them. Like I pointed out a couple other people that did pull them eventually, probably just to show up on some other consignment. But, they were pretty responsive back then. But I think the problem with a lot of these consignment places is they just grow and they can't keep up with the demand. And they probably don't think this, who knows? I'm just speculating here. They probably don't think to staff correctly for what they have going on. And it just gets to the point where, people are just, it's like Probstein. Remember, they just wrap it in a ton of bubble wrap, throw it in there. It didn't even matter how it came to them. It can be in a penny sleeve and they just throw it in a mailer and it's out to you. So, if you're making the money that they probably make, they should probably be better. And I agree. But again, a lot of these companies have grown probably tremendously in the past couple of years where they probably keep up with demand in early 2020s and now we're mid 2020s and they just can't do it.
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly what happened because what really frustrated me was I got shipping notification on April 1st and then I got a refund on April 4th saying we lost the card. And what they're at the point now is they are just like uploading, somehow they're giving like a bulk tracking information to the USPS, so at least it hits the USPS system as being shipped. But they hadn't actually packaged the card. So then when they went to package the card, it either fell into a heating vent and they lost it, or it ended up someone else in the country right now has a Jay Crowder card, and they're probably pissed that they have it, and I'm pissed that I don't have it. So, my first headache with DC Sports a couple months ago, I had bought a jersey numbered card, and they sent me a non-jersey numbered card, and I reached out to them, and they just said, "Oops, don't know. We don't know we just sent you the one we had, and we don't know where that other one is." So I get it, Carter, but occasional mishaps, but DC, ComC, a couple of these companies I think Ryan's right. They're not scaling up, the quality of their work to go with scaling up the amount of work they're doing. And so it's increasing the number of mistakes, and, delaying shipping, and if I was a seller with them, I'd be very upset with the quality of their listings too. They're not listing all the information correctly. So it's more than just losing one $15 card. I think it's just you're starting to see some trends with some of these companies that aren't able to, treat with the same level of professionalism they used to. So it's just frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to even people that grade. I don't grade, but I hear all these stories about people waiting forever for their cards to get graded. And then, the grades that they do receive, maybe not deserved because some guy that just started last week graded it and he's having a bad day or whatever. So I don't know. It's hard for me to really want to spend a whole ton of money. So anymore, what I buy is just stuff that, like, if it got lost, like yours, Steve, and never showed up, I wouldn't be too sad to just get a refund. I mean, I hate being collecting like that because there are some cool cards that I want to go after, but at the same time, I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff anymore. So, it's still fun, but I approach it with I guess caution anymore. It's kind of how I'm looking at it nowadays.
Makes sense. All right, so let's talk about collecting, and let's talk about collecting through sports hate. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if he wants to join. I actually, Carter was one of the, he's in the chat now. I keep referencing him. He was one of the first to reach out to me and share a little story. So Carter, if you feel like hopping on and want to talk about your alma mater a little bit and how that's driven your collection, I mean, I think it ties in very nicely with your story post today. So feel free to. If not, I will tell your story for you. But Ryan, what does sports hate mean to you? When I put that into the chat, where were you thinking I was going with this one?
Well, I share your hate for the Lakers, so I can kind of start with that one. It's not really a huge moment, but the hate of the Lakers in Denver is actually a little bit more intense between people that have moved from California to Denver and people that are either native or have been here for a long time. So that's been a rivalry, even before we were like facing them in the playoffs and stuff like that. I thought this was a cool card to represent it. This is a Gary Harris card from my PC. It's the 101 press proof from, I think this is 15-16, but it does have Kobe in the background there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And yeah, I'm not sure who the other player is there chasing him down, but I always liked that photo of Harris. So my brother does videography here around Denver, and he actually works with, I think it was the Pepsi Center back then.
Yeah, well, yep.
But anyway, he got me an in-person
nice.
from Harris. He was on that card. So that's the press proof out of 10. I just awesome. Love the card. And, even though there's Lakers hate, I do respect the Lakers, for what they did. Respect Kobe. So just a cool one to have there.
Yeah. Sean's showing some love for that card, saying that the overall design and action shot of the those few years of Adonis are really excellent. I agree. I mean that's definitely. About as good as an action shot as you get. It's cropped out nicely. You see the background. That's great.
You got players coming behind them, defenders in the shot. Actually, it's like sorely missed by me at least anymore.
Yeah. So we'll stick with the Lakers. And before I show the one card that I teased earlier, I will say that when it comes to sports hate, I love a rivalry, and I love to get irrationally angry at whether it be the Sixers, the Knicks, the Lakers. Like I feel like I don't hate the Lakers until I actually watch them play the Celtics, and then I'm sitting there like agitated, just hating seeing the purple and gold on my TV. I love it. I love a rivalry. Some of my best sports memories were Red Sox Yankees in the early 2000s. Like it just was. There's a level of emotion that just goes to it that's so much fun. I was going through my PC and realized that I've had several very nice Knicks cards, some Sixers cards, a bunch of Lakers cards. I actually end up using them. I move on from them. And what I mean by that is there's several sets I was collecting throughout the years. 2012-13 Crusade had an autograph set. There was a mix of vets and rookies. Brilliance in 2013-14 had a relic set called Gamers that had a couple of Knicks and Lakers in it. And I ended up getting to a point where I just, like Kobe Bryant, right? I hate him. I just don't like him. I can respect him, but I hate him. I should say I respect him on the court. Off the court, I have no respect for the guy. His autos obviously soared through the roof. I know if it was a Larry Bird auto that had gone from $100 to $1,500, I would still want to own it. But because a Kobe Bryant auto went from a value of $100 to $1,500, I sold it. And then because I didn't have the Kobe Bryant anymore, I sold off the rest of the set. And I was going through my PC and realizing I'd done that more often than not. Like one of the, I think it was the Gamer set that Carmelo had a really nice Knicks patch in. I might even have had a tag for it. And I just got to a point, I don't love Carmelo. Sorry, Nuggets fans. And I definitely don't love Knicks Carmelo. So I get to that point. I was like, okay, I don't want this card anymore. So therefore I'm going to move the rest of the set chase. So I realized I don't, as much as I love sports hate and I love it, I respect a rivalry, I don't keep many cards that help bring back those memories. Wow, my lighting's horrible. I don't know. Let's see. There we go. One example that I do have, though, is this is a Michael Cooper limited. I think it's 2011, 2012 Trophy Case Prime out of 25. It's a game use patch. I love stuff like this because Paul Pierce versus LeBron James, Larry Bird versus Michael Cooper, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. The individual player rivalries, and when you hear a player express respect for their opponent, it gets the juices flowing for me. So Larry Bird will, to this day, say that Michael Cooper is the best defensive player that has ever gone up against him. And Michael Cooper hates Boston. He hates the Celtics. Adam, if he was here, tells a great story about running into him at the National or something at a signing event. Cooper was super, personable and nice to be around. But if you let him know you were a Celtics fan, he would let you know how much he hates them, and then still be nice to you about it. But he would let you know. So a true rivalry with player respect. And I wasn't going to bring down. I've got several Bird Magic dual cards, patches, and autos that I've shown on the channel before. Stuff like that really gets me excited. But I don't have Yankees cards. I don't have, like, Kyle from Wax Museum has a bunch of Pistons cards, maybe more than he has Pacers cards some days. And some people like to collect that way. It's just not for me. So I was surprised at how little sports hate is actually in my PC.
Yeah, that's kind of the same here. And I was going to ask you about the Magic Bird if you had a couple of those, but
yeah, I didn't bring them down only because I showed them off when we were talking about multiplayer stuff. But I've got a couple of dual patches, and then I've got the Hoops Redemption auto from the early '90s, and then I've got a few other sort of fun inserts and stuff. Definitely there is a lot of Bird Magic pairing in my collection for sure.
Yeah, because when you think about Lakers Celtics rivalry, I mean that comes to mind immediately for me, at least. Yeah, that's cool. So I got one. As probably listeners of the show, if you've caught a couple other episodes, I collect Tim Duncan. And the Spurs, gave us a hard time. And then like the mid 2000s, probably like the Carmelo, a couple of those playoff runs with Carmelo and stuff. But I always respected his game. So it was a rivalry, but it was fun to watch. And maybe at the time, I was frustrated because we were getting knocked out of the playoffs by Spurs or whatever, or during the regular season. But I always had a respect for Duncan. And then when I got back into collecting, it was like, well, cool. I could pick up a lot of these like late 90s inserts, stuff where Kobe's going for a bunch, but Duncan's a lot less. And I respected him as a player anyway. So I started chasing Topps Chrome at that time, and it kind of branched out into all kinds of different stuff. So anyway, we'll go ahead and show this one. This is a 99 finest Tim Duncan on Team USA, even though he did not play for Team USA. And I'll wrap this into the Nuggets a little bit too. So what happened that year is he got hurt. He was all set out to play in the 2000 Olympics. He got hurt and he got replaced by McDyess. So McDyess ended up taking his spot. And so he got on the USA team and won the gold that year. And that's a little relic of McDyess, a jersey relic. So kind of a cool thing. So kind of try to relate the two teams together. But yeah, it is fun kind of looking back, and maybe something that you were very frustrated at the time, but then later on you realized, oh, I kind of respect that player. And for me, it's like hard to hate Tim Duncan. He was never like a crybaby like a lot of these guys are when you're rooting against the other team and they're just foul baiting and all that kind of stuff. It's easier to root against him. And not that he didn't try to draw fouls and stuff like that, but I never got that level of hate with him. So, it didn't draw me away from wanting to get in and collect his cards.
It must have been so frustrating to watch those games, though, because he would just systematically pick your team apart.
Yes.
I have to imagine there were like quarters where you could see what was happening and how bad it was about to go as he's just moving and picking and passing out and popping out. And your team just couldn't adjust to it because he was just so fluid and efficient that it must have been just infuriating. Even if you didn't hate him, you had to have hated the outcome at times.
That's why it took me a while later to want to go back and be like, okay, now I want to collect Duncan. But I feel that way with Jokic nowadays, right? So same kind of deal. Like he just picks apart teams as well. He just makes the right call. It's like, okay, well, you're going to block me down low. I'm just going to pass the perimeter, and we got good 3-point shooters. Or you're going to, focus on the outside shooter. Well, get it down low, and then I'll take it in. So he's the next evolution of that fundamental game that Duncan had. So it's kind of the tables have turned a little bit, you know.
And I don't have, my team obviously doesn't have a rivalry with the Nuggets, but it's, so I just enjoy watching Jokic play basketball. It's just, and anytime they're on prime time, I'm going to tune in for at least a half just to watch him play basketball. And I've had the benefit of seeing him in person once, and it's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
If I was, fighting, if my favorite team was going up against a 7-game series in the playoff, I'm not sure I would like it. I'd probably find ways. Jokic isn't the most likable person. I think Duncan's a little more likable than Nikola.
Yeah, he gets upset a lot about calls, and he always wants to get the call, but you kind of understand in ways because, I mean, have you ever seen the guy's arms? Like his upper arms are just scratched.
Yeah. Oh, they're all straight, and even sometimes they'll have smack mark. Like his neck will have the big red marks from getting hit. Yeah, he gets beat up for sure.
He gets beat up, and there's a lot of times he doesn't get calls. So I think he's just used to being like, "Hey, I just got destroyed, and you didn't call it." It's gotten a little bit better in recent years, but again, I'm a fan, so I push that stuff off to the side. But I can see like an opposing team fan watching it and being frustrated as well, just seeing he's trying to foul bait. But we talked about it before, even with like SGA, he's foul baits, but it's kind of part of the game anymore, so you can't blame him too hard.
Right. So the only other card I have to talk about is it's one that I don't own yet, but I was finding this interesting that there probably aren't too many players that I just disliked in the NBA during their playing days than Ron Artest. And a top 5 chase card for me is a out of 10 refractor. It's a dual relic of Paul Pierce and Ron Artest. And I have such great memories of Artest and Pierce going against each other. Artest was sort of the defensive, tough-minded, used his body, used his weight, threw it around, and Pierce was sort of the offensive version of that. And you both knew what they were going to do. But I never could understand if they liked each other or hated each other, because Artest would do all of the weird, obnoxious stuff. Like he'd be the one tugging at Pierce's, shorts, sitting at the free throw line, and but they had some great battles. And to this day, I get so angry thinking about the fact that as Ron Artest all of a sudden became an offensive juggernaut in Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals to get the Lakers over that hump against the Celtics. But yeah, sports hate is definitely that card. If I could ever find the refractor out of 10 of that card, would be a huge one for me to pick up. So definitely that player on player sports hate. It all goes back to that sort of matchup and everything, and Artest and Pierce respecting each other and wanting to go against each other. They never shied away. It wasn't, you get some of the greats in the game now. It's, who can we put Steph Curry on so he doesn't have to, have the defensive battle. It's no, Pierce and Artest wanted to go at each other's throats game in and game out. So I love that stuff.
Looks like we got Carter trying to join, so we'll put him on stage when he gets in. But it looks like he might be having camera troubles or something. But I do have another one. I got another couple actually, but this is another Gary Harris card, and this is a rivalry as well. So it's the OKC. This is back in 2018. So this game, I looked it up because I couldn't remember, but this was back in February of 2018. I remember this game because I was watching it on TV, and you see Westbrook behind Harris there. You see him kind of disappointed walking away. So what happened was they were going back and forth, and OKC had a big run. I think it was Murray, and I was reading this. I don't remember it, but I just remember like us coming back pretty heavy, like maybe down 10 points plus, something like that, right? We tied the game. There's only like 10 seconds left, and then Harris hit that 3-pointer off of a pass from Jokic to win the game. And then Russell Westbrook walked off in disappointment. And I loved that moment. And the fact that they captured it on the card was just so cool. So that is the hoops to 2017-18 hoops. And then, is that right? That's 18-19 hoops.
I was going to, 18-19 artist proof.
Yeah. Goal. But from the year prior. And it was just a cool moment. And so that's the gold, I guess they call it gold press proof or something. I don't know, something like that. But love to find the 101 of that someday. And we got Carter. All right. Add him in. What's going on, Carter?
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Man, the camera settings on StreamYard are not simple.
Yeah, you saw you struggling a little bit, but you made it.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Shoot. Thank you.
So I kind of teed it up a little bit for you, but man, you had a fun day on social media today, posting about some of your PC, and that ties directly into what you shared with me about how you got into that player and other players. So I'm just gonna step away and let you kind of tell your story a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for context, those who weren't on social media as much today, or not the right side, maybe. Shout out to Asia Wilson. She's officially a Panini signature athlete. So that was announced today with some clips from her signing her impeccable product, which Steve knows I've been kind of going mad after a lot of cards from that set, and so really enjoyed that today. That was fun. But yeah, when you guys posted about rivals a couple days ago and like collecting those, that was the first thing that came to my mind was how I started collecting Asia and Arike Gumbawale a few years ago. So I'm a Mississippi State alum. I graduated there and was really into sports. Like SEC sports are crazy. They're really expensive now. It costs an arm and a leg. Like even for a student to go to those games is insane. But that wasn't the case at Mississippi State. I used to be able to go to basketball games for free. So like I would go and watch like Anthony Davis would come and play at our arena. I was like, want to go watch Anthony Davis? Like, all right, it's Tuesday. So it was really fun, and I followed them pretty close for a number of years afterwards. Particularly, the women's college team was really, really good. And in 2017, 2018, they went to back-to-back Final Fours and made the final game, and they lost both years. And in 2017, that was our first run to the Final Four in forever. Super excited. We had beaten UConn in the Final Four to go to the title game. Morgan William, our point guard, had hit a game winner at the buzzer to end UConn's 111 game win streak. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was Mississippi State that did that. We go to the next game. The finals is against South Carolina, and Asia Wilson is there for the Gamecocks, and she posted like a 2010 double-double and busted our ass, and it was really sad because we thought after that UConn game, like, oh, if they won 111 games in a row and we just beat them, we're about to win 112. Like that's the fan logic. That didn't happen. We lost the next game. And I was really, really salty because I was like, man, how did they get this Asia Wilson girl? Like, she's nuts. So we lost. We go back the very next year to the title game, and we were Morgan William, our point guard, same person who hit that game winner. I remember she was at the very end of regulation. It was a tied game. She had the ball, and she was going for a breakaway layup. And Jackie Young, who, shout out, she just got offered $1 million max contract in the W. Jackie Young came behind and poked the ball out from her and gets possession. They call a timeout. Notre Dame. This is against Notre Dame, by the way. We're in the title game. They call a timeout, and then out of the timeout, they pass the ball to Arike Gumbawale, this like 50 scorer. He hits this off-balance fadeaway three from the corner to win the game. It was absolutely heart-wrenching. And I was like, I hate her too. She sucks. Her and Asia Wilson, they can both go jump off a cliff. So that happened 17 and 18. And then fast forward, 2019, I've just started collecting, and Mississippi State starts to kind of fall off. Our coach left and went to Texas, and Texas is awesome now. So I'm collecting Memphis Grizzlies, NBA, all that. 2020 rolls around, pandemic comes, and sports shut down. There's nothing to watch at all. So I'm like, man, I need like different ways to collect because that's the closest I can get to sports. We were all kind of feeling that, like sports wasn't happening. So like sports cards were our sports. Remember that time? It was wild.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I need something else to do. And I remembered that women's Mississippi State team. And I was like, where are those? Like, I've been following those a couple of those players, Tier McCowan and Victoria Vivians, had gone to the league from state, and I was like, I know they're doing okay. Let me see about like whether they have cards, and that sent me down a WNBA rabbit trail to the point where I was like, oh, I'm into this now. This is happening. And so when that came about, I was like, okay, I can get like all the available Victoria Vivian's, Tier McCowan in like 2 seconds. I was like, I need something to like really dig into. Like, while this stuff is cheap, let me find out who are some awesome players I can go collect. And who comes to my mind first? These two players who had just bludgeoned my team in back-to-back championship games. I'm like, where is Asia Wilson now? How's she doing? And I look up, she won Rookie of the Year. Like, where is Arike Gumbawale now? I look up, in her second year, she set the scoring title. I'm like, oh, okay, so they're both amazing, just like I thought they would be.
Yeah.
And so I started collecting them specifically because of how much I hated them. It had like morphed into this deep respect. And I was like, these players, I know how they made me feel. And if they do that to people in the WNBA, they're going to be like super special. So like at least one of them is going to be amazing, right? And Steve, I kind of thought it would be Arike and not Asia.
Yeah, and having been an NBA fan, you can kind of understand that, right? She is.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect comparison, but she's a very Kyrie Irving style player. She's shifty.
Yeah.
She's crafty. She hits tough shots, and you can't plan on how to guard her. She's gonna break down defenses. So I can definitely, and that's a style that's, and Asia's more of a Tim Duncan. She's just fundamentally sound and dominant. But yeah. I can understand that. Especially when they were young in their career.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I was wrong about that. Arike has kind of sputtered a little bit. I still like watching her, but anyway, I started collecting those players specifically because of what they had done and how much I kind of hated them, and worked out with Asia. Man, she took off. That 20-10 thing became a trend. So, I mean, especially now with how the Grizzlies are doing, I'm like, NBA, the game of the NBA overall is just kind of like a little frustrating to me right now. And so I'm kind of burying my sorrows and collecting W in Asia specifically, just trying to accumulate the best collection I can there. So,
which is awesome, and I love following your collection, and I've definitely gone to you a lot as I've gone into the WNBA more, but the track, the line of an SEC alum from his alma mater getting his heart ripped out and then being like, these are the players that I want to collect is so. And I don't have like I'm in the Northeast. I went to Northeastern for grad school. They have a D1 program. I to this day could probably walk into their basketball games for free. Their hockey is very legit, but we just don't have that camaraderie with our sports at the collegiate level up here.
Yeah,
knowing what it's like in those areas, the Big Ten, the SEC, and then for you, and how hard it is for a team to get to a national championship game, regardless of the gender or the sport, and then for them to destroy you. And Arike's shot is one of the most iconic shots in women's collegiate history. Yeah. And then for you to then be like, I want this stuff in my PC is such a fascinating trajectory for me to just try to wrap my head around.
So did you share a couple things, Carter? I can see if I can pull these up.
A couple of like cards.
Yeah.
Carter was on a roll today sharing his Asia Wilson autographs that were all represented in her personal promotional video today. So he was recreating his own video.
I've got most of the autographs from the set. There's a couple I'm missing from the product rather. There's a couple I'm missing, but there's one shot in there. Yeah, you're showing it. You'll see in a second where they laid out 4 like really nice autographs from the set, and I was like, "Oh, I've got all 4 of those." And maybe the only one who does with how rare they are, and so I lined them all out. There it is, right there. That shot of those 4. And so I was like, "Oh, I've got all 4 of those."
Yeah, those are nice.
I did a little side by side. But man, I mean, Impeccable is really nice. It's always been a really nice set. Like the watercolor designs that a lot of them have. They
I
added
agree.
timeless moments into this one, and then those like number themed, those numeric themed autographs. The way they do the hollow foil on those numbers, where it shines in um every single angle, is like really, really special.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
those number
take
ones are
like
cool.
the Prism Mojo effect and add it to hollow foil. They're
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can all like this is really bad camera angle, but like there's nowhere I can turn it where it's not going to shine.
Yeah.
See that? Like you can't get a non-shiny angle of it, which is just to me is super cool.
What's the number on that one?
Her
Signify.
jersey number.
This
Oh,
is the jersey number
Okay.
one. So it's 22 and then so it's numbered to 22 and then I've got another one from there's 4 of them. I've got the other one with that's horizontal, which is 53, which is the record for most points in a WNBA game.
Yeah, that's
Which
awesome.
maybe she'll break this year. Who knows? Her boyfriend did it just about.
Yeah. No, those are cool, man. I kind of wish I went after some of those numbers ones back in the day. I remember seeing them and passing for some reason, but they are sweet.
Yeah,
they've always been expensive though. Like on the NBA level,
yeah.
Like if I have a couple of Paul Pierce impeccable autos, and if a standard Pierce on card auto is $100, even quote unquote back in the day, the impeccable ones would be $250 to $300. They've always been. Yeah. And then some sets will get $400 to $500 premium. So it's Impeccable is a beautiful set. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Well, these two right here, these are 2 of the most expensive autographs that have been bought in the Impeccable set, at least for Asia so far. They're like a tenth of what a Caitlin Clark costs. But also, I looked it up. I was like, these 2 combined are selling for like a little less than half of what a Asia Wilson Kaboom goes for right now. So I consider myself fortunate.
Insane.
Yeah, we could talk for like the next 20 minutes about Kabooms. But
we will be at some point. Well, hopefully they do the signature athlete thing well, Carter, because one of the best marketing moves that Panini ever did was to have some signature athletes when they got the NBA license. So Kobe Bryant, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant were all signature athletes, and they would do spokesman insert sets. They would have a higher ratio of on card autos. They would get their own logo on the back of a card, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully they step up with Asia and continue to use her to appropriately promote the WNBA stuff. And what you said about the quality of the game and the actual product of the basketball is exactly what I said on this, on our hangout last week. It's just a better brand of basketball. So anybody that is looking to mix it up and was complaining about the NBA last week, I highly recommend you check out the WNBA season. It starts in a few weeks. We got training camp and preseason games coming at the end of this month, and then the season's going to tip off middle of May. So join in.
I'll tell you what, do you want some proof that the NBA is in a bad spot? You know how your Celtics have the record for the most threes in a game?
Yes.
Did you see they were tied by another team last week?
Who, the Bulls?
No. The Memphis Grizzlies. And you know who was in the lineup? Majority G-Leaguers.
Oh, geez. And they're just chucking up threes.
And they lost.
Yeah, that's the issue with Missoula ball. We won't go into it. Is that actually the 3-point rate is a horrible stat to go by, because it is teams like the Bulls that are bottom dwellers that tend to have the highest 3-point rates. And thankfully, now with Tatum back, the Celtics have definitely tapered back their 3-point attempts and are playing a little bit more balanced basketball. But there's the WNBA. I went into it last week. The ball movement, the spacing, the pace is just it's a much better brand. So tune in.
So Panini keeps WNBA, right?
Yes, we don't know. So they announced an extension of the WNBA PA license earlier this year. We haven't heard anything about the league license, but it's all assumptions are that it will continue to the future. Yep.
Yeah, they won't diverge.
I like it.
Well, at some point, the NBA does own 48% of the WNBA, so I am worried that they'll try to kind of bring the two brands together in some respects, but we'll deal with that another time.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, I really appreciate you joining in, buddy. Thanks for sharing with us.
Great talking to you, man.
See
ya.
Cool.
All right,
I got one more here.
I was going to say, I know you have some more. You're thinking something, I can tell.
Yeah, and this is kind of a player hate for, I believe, you and especially Kyle. So this is a Jokic rookie card, but who he's guarding.
Giannis.
Yep. So the Bucks are knocked out of the playoffs, are they not this year?
Yes.
I heard that. So even though this really isn't a rivalry for the Nuggets necessarily, it's just a card I liked, and I don't know, maybe we can say, I don't know if we can definitively say at this point that Giannis has fallen off and Jokic is maybe taking his spot or something like that. I don't think we could say that yet, but it is kind of interesting. I just thought that was a cool card. I noticed that probably 2-3 years after I got the card. But yeah, just a cool matchup. And then also show the status parallel.
That's so cool.
Which this is numbered to his jersey number.
Yep.
And then what was the other variation there? Aspirations. Yeah, that one was red. And sadly, I had 2 of those and I sold both of them. I wish I would have one. But, oh, well.
Is there a player in the league that you think matches up best against Jokic? Like is the one that gives him the most fits? Is like we used to call Al Horford back when Ben Simmons was supposed to be good, the Ben Simmons stopper, or like I said, hoop on Larry Bird. Is there someone in the league that gives Jokic fits and would be sort of his primary like one-on-one rival?
Well, we'll see how it plays out, but Wembanyama has given him a hard time. So when they played the Spurs the last game, he actually hit a huge shot against Wembanyama, but he actually talked in the post-game interview about meeting them prior in the season where he blocked that same shot, and then the Spurs, I believe, had won that game. But that could turn into a pretty decent rivalry, kind of the fundamental skills versus, I mean, Wembanyama is a great player as well, but he's just so lengthy, and so it's hard getting anything over him or being down low in the paint. And this is actually out in the perimeter where I guess he wasn't in the paint, but not a 3-point shot, but he got it over him, and it was pretty awesome to see. So that could turn into something cool. And I think there's a chance that we could also face Spurs first round if it plays out. So that would be interesting. And maybe first or second round. I can't remember how it's all shaken out, but yeah, that could be a good one. I can't think of many other players that, I don't know. I can think of some players he's had a difficult time against, but not like a Wembanyama, where he's just got that length and you can just block his stuff by just stepping on his tippy toes.
Now that you're saying that, I mean, I actually haven't seen a Nuggets versus Spurs game, but I can picture Wemby being a nightmare for Jokic as far as having someone defend him, because Wemby's so long that he can get right up on him on the 3-point line and interrupt the passing lanes. But then when Jokic decides to use his girth to try and muscle his way down low like he does sometimes, Wemby can just basically wrap his arms around him like Venom taking down Spider-Man. So I bet that is a very tough matchup for him. And that would be one where I imagine the Nuggets would really have to rely on shooting from some of their bench players to get through a Spurs series.
Yeah, and I think Wemby's out at least for a couple games. Well, they said he was going to try to play one more game so that he could get into the awards for the end of the year, like Defensive Player of the Year or something like that. But he'll probably be around in the playoffs. And it's not like I would wish that players were out, but yeah, we'd have a little bit easier time if we did face them without
just a bit.
It is, you want everybody full strength, because I think the series are the most fun where it's not just one team decimating the other because of injuries, and that's always the hope, is that you can get like kind of a fair playing grounds to go off of. So I just hope whoever we do play, there's a couple of teams with like injured players. Is SGA out? Or no, Luka's out for a little bit.
Luka just went down, and he's done for the season. He's over in Europe getting treatment right now.
Yeah. And even though, we both have the Lakers hate, I hate to see that, because they did have a pretty good run coming back in, and they're looking like they were going to get a pretty high seed, and they still, I think, will, but it's going to be tough without Luka.
Yeah, no,
LeBron's going to have to carry him.
And he just can't anymore. He can't without the depth around him. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I hate seeing injuries, and even teams that I wish just epic failure. I want them to fail with their stars. Like, I want the Sixers to make a playoff run, be completely healthy, and Paul George and Embiid to embarrass themselves. I don't want them to be injured and be icing their knee on the sidelines while Maxey and some G League players get beat. I really, the more I hate a team, actually, the healthier I hope they are, so that I can really just take just a lot of joy in watching them fail. So.
Yeah. And speaking of sets, so Fanatics Tops attain Hoops. They attained it because it's owned by the league, right? So they're coming out with Hoops. I did see that. So the NBA Road to the Finals cards that came out on Hoops, we would hope would be reintroduced, because I always thought those were cool cards. Do you ever collect those?
I haven't collected them, but I know I do enjoy them. I have a couple in my Celtics collection, but I haven't gone after a run of them. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I did share, on one of our group chats, some really terrible inserts that showed up out of Hoops. It was like a block focused insert with a guy holding a ball. That was kind of disappointing to me, but I don't know if they do some of those cool inserts and stuff like that. Maybe they don't do it this year, but maybe next year we can get some finals runs and stuff like that. And that would be cool. Yeah. I just hope that they go back and take some of that. Even what Panini did, maybe they can't do that because it was some kind of licensing thing with Panini, but I would imagine they could just call it something slightly different and do the same concept. So I would like to see that stuff, even though I'm not going to be buying it. Maybe.
Yeah, Road to the if I had to guess, Road to the Finals is probably an insert that Panini created the design for, and they used it in the WNBA Donruss, I believe it was. So it wasn't even in a Hoops thing. So I bet they have the copyrights to that set and that design and that name. But we've seen Topps steal, the downtown idea and a few other insert ideas, so they can find a way to, call it a championship run or something, and make a similar concept. So
yeah, we just got to type them into AI, and then it'll give you a concept.
It's a good thing you don't actually follow Topps on social media, because I think you I love hating the Sixers. I think you love hating Topps, and if you followed them, you'd probably just be distracted, just sitting in a corner,
man,
just shaking and yelling at Topps all day.
I had to. I just had to block the accounts because it was frustrating me. I didn't even want to get on Instagram anymore. And I like chatting with you guys and other people, so I had to do something. But I do see it secondhand, so that's about all I can tolerate. But I gotta do give them credit for some things. So some of the stuff they're coming out with is okay, and I feel like they have people that are telling them, hey, let's go back to some designs that people like from Topps, some inserts that they like from Topps. I don't know necessarily they're doing a great job with those inserts, but at least they're trying to bring them back for maybe nostalgia purposes for collectors. So we'll see.
I hear you. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see. I like that. All right, my man. Cool. Anything else on your end before we bounce?
No, I think that was a good discussion. Thanks for everybody in the chat, Sean.
Sean,
Jeff,
Gary, Carter, Jeff. Really appreciate you guys being here, and definitely Carter for hopping on. And it's still wild to me that he watched his team get just absolutely just heartbroken 2 years in a row, and then that drove him to collect the people that broke his heart. There's a little bit of a
cool
approach to that, but. Sean, actually, before we go, so we'll end off with this. So Sean just says no Jaylen Brown hate tonight. Speaking of hate collecting, I was reminded this week, or talking with Adam, that the first ever sports card transaction I had with Adam was I traded him a Jaylen Brown auto for a Bob Pettit auto. Was how we first met each other. So that was the one discussion that we had.
That's funny.
Yep. All right, bud. Thanks everyone for joining us. Everyone be well, and we'll see you next week.
All right, catch you guys later.